Hey guys, this is Gregory Bennett. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm excited to give you guys this really good information about life insurance and how to build wealth using life insurance products. And so, let's see here. All right, and so I've got a few of my big life colleagues. They'll be tuning in today. You guys can go to the comments section if you'd like to take some notes. Get pen and paper. This should only last about maybe 30 minutes. So if you have questions, just let me know. Let us know in the comments section. And so I entitled the webinar, The Tricks and Secrets to Growing Generational Wealth with Life Insurance. Financially protect your family and build generational wealth without worrying about paying for terminal and chronic illnesses. And I entitled the webinar this way because there's a myth, and we'll go over myths in a few minutes, but there's a myth that life insurance is only for when you die, and it's not. It's actually for when you're living, and we'll talk about living benefits. But one of the living benefits is you're able to build wealth, and the wealthy build their wealth through life insurance products. And so we'll talk about those things throughout this webinar, how to build wealth using life insurance, and that's how the wealthy do it. And then with the new insurance, you're able to protect yourself and use living benefits for terminal, chronic, and critical illnesses. And so, Lynette, are you able to talk?
I am. Good morning.
And so we have Lynette Bryant here. Lynette, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I'm Lynette Bryant, and I've been in this business for about 17 years now. I am physically located in the New York area. However, I do business. I have non-resident licenses across the country.
And tell us, how did you get into insurance?
Well, I actually didn't start in insurance. I developed a company that offered business and financial strategy sessions, helping people really build businesses. And life insurance became so obviously a great tool to help people build wealth in their endeavors to build their businesses. They were building businesses supposedly to build wealth. And so the more I helped others, the more I realized that we can't do this without life insurance. So I got, life insurance licensed. When I first got licensed, I believe I was in the Maryland area. And then I had to take a few more exams because anybody who knows New York knows that New York is its own world. It has its own rules. So once I got licensed here in New York, it became easier to actually conduct business all across the country.
Good. And give us an idea of what some of your specialties are.
Well, I specialize in, I really, really like the IUL term policy combo, and I'll explain why. Although I don't put every client in the same product, I'll tell you why I really am a fan of the combo. I'll give you an example. I have a New York client who just bought a condo in the city. It's crazy. It's a studio condo for $625,000. Who would spend $625,000 and not even have a bedroom? But I digress. I wanted to make sure that if something happened to her, she has a 1-year-old son. So she just wanted life insurance because somewhere in her day-to-day life, she realized that she should have life insurance. But when I started asking her the why do you want life insurance, to achieve what purpose? She kind of looked at me funny, like, well, what do you mean? Life insurance is so that, if you die, that your family is taken care of. I said, well, that's a part of what life insurance is for. But what if something happens to you and you don't die? Then what? And she was like, well, I never thought about that. Yeah, what if you're maimed? Or what if, anything happens and you just can't bathe yourself or feed yourself, but you can't work and earn an income? You have life insurance, but who benefits if the only, benefit you have is a death benefit? And so we started talking more about the IUL. Now, the IUL, when you're trying to build wealth and really trying to make sure that you have those living benefits, sometimes it can be a little expensive. So although she actually makes enough money to cover the expense of it, she didn't want to jump in with such a large monthly expense. So what we did for her is we got her a $250,000 IUL, which has living benefits. So she would be able to access up to 90% of that in the event of some critical or chronic illness that didn't kill her. She would be able to access up to 90% of that. But $250,000 would not be enough to cover her assets. So I coupled that with a $400,000 term policy, which is a whole lot less expensive. But the term policy also had living benefits. And so if something were to happen to her, she would have 90% of $650,000 that she would be able to access. And her total cost was only like 200 and something dollars. So another benefit of the term policy, over the years, of course, her income is going to go up. So she would be able to transfer some of the face value of that term policy into her whole life policy when she's able to pay more for it. So right today, she's not able to pay as much for it, but she's fully covered. And later, she could transfer some of that term policy, because one of the downfalls of a term policy is that it is a term. It ends at some point, and once it ends, in order to reinstate it, you have to be requalified at your current age and with your current health statistics. So we want to be able to transfer some of that term policy over into a permanent policy, so she'll never have to worry about requalifying medically, and that can be done without a medical. So it's just so many things that you can do between the term and the IUL. But what I tell all of the people that I work with is, listen, as salespeople, we're used to talking, we're used to selling. Stop talking so much and listen. Figure out what your client needs, and with the IUL, you can tailor that product to the needs of your client.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's a good point. And it's kind of reminiscent of sort of my story. I took out a term at 30 years old. It was a 20-year term. It wasn't convertible. It was an old insurance. It didn't have living benefits. And then along the way, within that 20-year period, I had an illness with my kidneys. And so when the term policy ended 20 years later, there wasn't an agent there to tell me, you need to convert or get another policy. And then, I wasn't really insurable. And only until now, become insurable. But I wasn't prepared. And so it sounds like you really prepared your client for what could happen. And you'll be keeping in touch with that client all along the way.
Yes.
doing policy reviews and things like that, so they know exactly what they have. And then at the right point, you'll tell them when to go ahead and convert to a cash value policy, a permanent policy. And
Yes.
and honestly, that's what this webinar is all about. You just kind of summed everything up in one story. And so it's really about, you put her in a great position to build wealth. And
Absolutely.
that's the goal of this short webinar, is to put yourself in a position to build wealth. While you're growing wealth, you're also protecting yourself and your family just in case something happens. And then we like to
Can
say
I
that.
add?
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Can I add one more thing to that? Because you just reminded me of something. Understand this, that it's not just about building wealth, but it's about the ability to transfer wealth tax free. An IUL is the only way to transfer wealth. Well, life insurance is the only way to transfer wealth to your beneficiaries, to your children, to whoever matters to you, tax free.
And so Lynette, and so that's true. And again, the goal of the webinar is to really educate on how to build wealth. You've mentioned IUL, Index Universal Life, a couple times. Just explain really quickly, and we'll go into it later, exactly what an IUL. When you refer to an IUL, and I'll talk about it in a few slides. When I got my daughter in IUL about 12 years ago. But what is an IUL?
An Index Universal Life product. It's a life insurance product. The difference is it's not just life insurance. It creates cash. It accumulates cash. But one of the biggest difference, a lot of people know about whole life policies that also accumulate cash. One of the benefits of an IUL is that it accumulates cash and your withdrawals are tax-free. If it's set up correctly, your withdrawals are tax-free. It does have a 10-year surrender period, which means that you really don't want to touch that money in the first 10 years. You kind of want to leave it there just kind of baking. The administrative fees are all front loaded, so a lot of that comes out in the first 10 years. And each year, there's a cost associated with touching that money. So when you market IULs, you have to let your clients know that there is a 10-year surrender period. So this is not something where you have a lump sum and you think you want to pull money out in the next 2 years. This is not the right product for that. This is more for long-term wealth building. And the great thing about an IUL is that if the client is opting or desiring to use an IUL to build wealth towards retirement, then we market the whole concept of being your own bank. You can, instead of going to a financial institution, you want to buy a car, you've accumulated enough money in your IUL to pull out that $50,000 or whatever you need to purchase the car. And then you set your own terms and you pay your car note back into your IUL so that your retirement fund is not compromised. However, if your client is not looking for an IUL for retirement purposes, but say they wanted to get an IUL for milestones for their children, their child reaches the age of 18, they want to get them a car. They reach the age of 25, they want to give them a down payment for a house, but they're not looking to have this accumulated money for retirement purposes. You still get those withdrawals tax-free, but you don't have to pay them back because your goal is not to accumulate a supplement for your retirement. So again, I say, listen to what's important to your clients so that you can give them the right instructions about how to tailor a product like an IUL. A product like an IUL can be tailored for almost any purpose. You don't need some life hardship in order to withdraw from it. You withdraw from it because it's your money and you can.
All right. And so we'll go into depth on that, but that's one of the ways to build wealth is through that IUL. And
Yes.
while we're still here, before we get to the next slide, talk a little bit about, we'll set up an IUL, and then in order to really build wealth through that IUL, you can overfund that IUL. Explain that.
Yes. Okay, when you overfund an IUL, that means an IUL, like I said before, is an insurance product. So it has a life insurance policy attached to it. There is a cost for being covered under, with a life insurance policy. So if you only pay the bare minimum for that policy, you're really only paying for life insurance coverage. And IUL is much more than just life insurance coverage. So you need to overfund, meaning overfund the cost of the life insurance policy in order to accumulate that cash. Now, depending on what you're trying to achieve will determine how much you can overfund it. And like I said before, if it's done properly, your withdrawals are tax free. Now, you can put too much money into an IUL. And with the right training, you're going to learn how to see what is the max you can put into it for a specific level of life insurance. So if someone wants to put more than they can put into it to keep it as a tax-free withdrawal, you may have to increase the face amount of their life insurance. Again, it's a product that's tailored, so you have to know what you're doing, and the training is very, very important. Training on how to properly set up the IUL for what your client is endeavoring to do, because you don't want it to mech. What that means is you don't want it to become a modified endowment contract. That's a whole nother training. But if it mechs, that means your withdrawals are no longer tax-free. So there's a balance.
Right. And
there's a balance there.
You've overfunded it too much, and you've put too much money in. And IRS is only going to allow you to put a certain amount. But to escalate that cash value so that you can use that money for tax-free retirement, to invest in real estate, to pay off student loans, you do want to overfund.
Yes.
So if you guys want more information, there's a link on the slide that you can go to biglifewealth.com/appointment to schedule an appointment with us, so that we can sit down with you and just go over what your options are. And everybody's different in terms of age, medical condition, what you really want in terms of building wealth. And so go to that link in the slide and schedule an appointment. We run into a lot of people. I got a phone call yesterday morning. One of my agents' daughters called me and said, my mother just passed away. And it was devastating. And obviously and she had been with me for over 10 years. And so I don't know that she had insurance. And, there was a question about that. And I said, I don't know. But the assumption is that she didn't have insurance. And so what might have to happen is they set up a GoFundMe page. And so one of the goals of this webinar also is to try to eliminate GoFundMe. And sometimes with as little as $5 a day, you can have a policy, even like a final expense policy, so that if something was to happen to you, your funeral arrangements would be covered. And even with the final expense, it is permanent insurance where it is growing in cash value. Have you seen the GoFundMes, and what is your opinion on that?
Oh my gosh, it breaks my heart actually to see GoFundMe pages when people pass away, because it just lets you know that there are so many people who just don't know. You know, they just don't know. And not everybody's GoFundMe page gets funded. So then what, what position are they in when they can't accumulate enough money to have a proper burial for their loved one? They're already devastated at the loss of a loved one. And now they don't know how they're going to give this person a proper send off. It's very heartbreaking. It's really heart-wrenching to see a GoFundMe page when someone has passed, because it's not necessary.
It's not necessarily, unfortunately, less than 50% of all Americans even have insurance. And so we're here to educate, and we're here to educate on why you should have insurance. At the very least, get insurance to protect your family in case of loss, in case of your loss.
Yeah.
As Lynette said, insurance is really the transfer of wealth. But with no wealth, there's no transfer. And
That's right.
in the Jewish community, when one passes away, 2 millionaires are created. And it's because they understand, they've been educated on what life insurance is all about. And it's really about building wealth and
Yes.
the cash values. When we think about what banks do with their money, they put a lot of their money into insurance vehicles.
Yep.
Because it's guaranteed money and it's protected against losses. And so we need to start thinking about how banks look at insurance, how we should look at insurance, and then protect ourselves so we don't have to be one of the ones that have to set up a GoFundMe just to bury a loved one. I can't tell you how many times I've had to chip in for friends or employees to bury their loved ones because they didn't set up insurance. And we don't live forever. I mean, my agent who passed day before yesterday, you would have thought she was going to live forever, but you just don't know. So we've got to protect ourselves. But more importantly, we get these policies to really build wealth. And that's how I've always looked at it, is to build wealth. And I started, like I said, at 30, and then, I was able to get some other policies, and, I protected other people, but that's what we have to do.
Yes.
When we talk about the benefits of life insurance, it's guaranteed protection, income replacement. There's tax-free benefits, so you can borrow money tax-free from your own account. You need to leave that money into your insurance policy so that it can start accumulating cash with compounded interest. Guaranteed cash growth, and then living benefits. I always give the example of my daughter. Here's my daughter on the screen here, and I may have mentioned her already, but just have one child. And when she was about 12 years old, I took out an IUL. We talked about IULs earlier. I took out an IUL. I thought I was going to use it for her college. But I was fortunate enough, my background's in real estate. So through my real estate investing, I was able to pay for college. She graduated from college a couple years ago. Last year, at 23, she bought her first house to live in. And so I said to her, Beverly, this year, it's time for you to buy your first investment property. And she said, I'm happy to do so, but where's the money going to come from? And I said, well, you have over $40,000 in your IUL. You can take that money out tax-free, get a loan from yourself, and use that money for down payment and closing costs, buy a house with that money, fix it up, rent it out, refinance, and pay yourself back. And so that's what that's what she's going to be doing this year as a goal. And the beauty of
your own bank.
It's infinite banking. She's her own bank. And then next year, do the same thing. And you'll have even more money in that account because it continues to grow. And so that's what she's going to do. And that's kind of one of the tricks and secrets that the wealthy do. They use their insurance policies for wealth. And that's what we should be doing. I think that we don't do that because we're just not educated on that. And
Mhm.
so the benefits of cash value is investments, tax deferred growth. You can borrow against the money, like I just described, pay monthly premiums and withdraw funds during your lifetime. But what a lot of people do is they use their insurance policy as a tax-free retirement. They build it up, and you can explain this a little better. But at a certain point, no more premium payments, and then the money that's in there can be used for retirement. Spend a little bit of time and just explain that.
Yes. It's usually a supplement to retirement. Index products, I personally am very fond of. I have a lot of clients who invest in 401ks, and I believe that that's a good place to start if you're doing nothing. However, though the 401ks have a front end tax benefit, um, taxation is so unpredictable. Who wants to be responsible for paying taxes in retirement? So if you fund your IUL properly, and say when you set it up as a supplemental retirement vehicle, then you have the premiums being paid to 62 or whenever you plan to retire. This is just hypothetically if you plan to retire at 62. You have the premiums payable until 62. And after that, you can then start withdrawing a tax-free retirement supplement. So you can kind of calculate and estimate what you would have to put in to get a certain amount out in retirement, but it can absolutely be used as a tax-free supplemental retirement vehicle, because you don't have like, oh, you can get 4 withdrawals for free and then everything else is going to cost. No, you have unlimited withdrawals, so you can take out an annual retirement amount, you can take out a monthly retirement amount, but you can definitely set up an IUL to supplement your retirement.
And I just put the link in the comments section, you guys. If you guys want to schedule an appointment to see if any of this stuff that we're talking about resonates with you and that you can benefit. And so you can go to the comment section and get that link, and then schedule an appointment. You may have a policy now that we can do a policy review for you and see if you have what we call the new insurance. Part of the new insurance is living benefits. And so all the policies that we sell come with living benefits. As I said earlier, you get sick before you die. You want to make sure that if you have a chronic, terminal, or critical illness, that it gets paid for. And while you're accumulating money in your cash value life insurance policy, you can use that money for those type of issues. And so, Lynette, when I talk about the new insurance that comes with living benefits, what does that mean to you?
What that means to me is there used to be the old insurance I call death insurance, because the only time anyone can benefit from it is if someone dies. The new insurance I can literally call life insurance because of the living benefits. You can have these events that could happen to you that put you in a position where you can no longer earn an income, and you have some reprieve from that hardship because your life insurance has the living benefits. Oh gosh, there was something else that I wanted to just touch on about the IUL and how flexible it is. There are certain carriers that have return of premium on your IULs. And just like for people who own real estate, you pay, what is it called, Greg, PMI? But
Yeah,
that doesn't benefit you. That benefits the finance company if something happens to you.
right,
But you can use your life insurance to benefit you in the event that something happens so that you don't lose your home. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's so much to be said about life insurance. One 30-minute webinar is not going to tell you the half of it.
right. So schedule that appointment, you guys. We only have a few slides left. I want to quickly go over the myths because it's a shame that, especially in our community, we don't get life insurance. And I think one of the myths is that it costs too much. And
Mm-hmm.
for as little as I said earlier, $5 a day, you can protect yourself and protect your family and start the process of building wealth.
Yes.
Another myth is that you don't have enough money. You can't afford not to have enough money. I mean, this is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself and for your family because you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to work forever. And some of you may or may not have a retirement plan. And so paying for life insurance, even if it's $5 a day, it could be $25 a month premium, $30 a month premium, gives you something to protect yourself so that
Mm-hmm.
your loved ones, they don't have to worry about GoFundMe pages, things like that. Life insurance is only useful after death. Life insurance is for the living. It's for when you're living. You can utilize the permanent policies, the whole life, universal life policies that's building up cash, so that you can build up enough cash to take care of yourself while you're living, long-term care. That money, we with my real estate background, we like to say that we use that to be our own private lender to invest in real estate, like many other people do. And so it's for the old, it's not for the young. That's not true. There's we talk about IULs. There's IULs that you can start as soon as the child is born. We call them $1 million baby policies, so that you're building up that cash value to pay for college, um, pay a down payment for a house, things like that when they get older. We see a lot of grandparents taking out these IULs for their children. And so there are certain myths. And because of those myths, a lot of people aren't building wealth through these policies. But it's the number one way to build wealth, you guys. You know, I'd love to say that because of my background, real estate is the number one way. It's not. When you talk about Warren Buffett, he makes the majority of his money through insurance, and you should too. And so let's dispel the myths. Schedule an appointment with us. We'd love to talk to you. You want to speak about any type of myths, Lynette? We may have lost Lynette. You still with us, Lynette?
I'm still here.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit.
I can't. Yeah, I know. I'm in Queens now, so
Oh, don't leave. You need to leave Queens now.
I know. I'm trying to get around this traffic.
All right. And so when you talk to people, what are some of the objections that you run into?
It's usually the money thing. It's usually the money. I don't have enough money. You know, I can't afford life insurance. You absolutely can afford life insurance. What you can't afford is not to have life insurance. That's what you can't afford. Um, and oftentimes I don't really try to sell them on life insurance. I try to have a discussion with them on what life would look like without life insurance.
Absolutely.
Um, and it's more about educating the client because 9 times out of 10 it's usually the money. It's usually the money. And These are the same people who will spend $10 for a cup of coffee each day at Starbucks. The very same people. You could use that, you could use less than that $10 a day to get a life insurance policy.
Absolutely.
Buy a smaller cup of coffee,
Yeah.
and use the rest to pay for your life insurance.
And so it's just sacrifice. And sometimes we've got to sacrifice in order for us to build wealth.
Yeah,
And
what's
so,
really important? Have
right.
them talk. Let them talk, because they will tell you what's important to them. And then you can use that to help them see that if you didn't mention that daily cup of coffee from Starbucks as being important, but yet that's where you're spending your money.
Absolutely. And so here's a couple testimonials, you guys, from some of our past clients. Thank you to Monica for all your time and effort in putting together a great package for our insurance needs. We totally appreciate the great customer service and commitment to answer all of our questions. And so that's just one of our clients. And another, Crystal with Big Life Financial Services is a great insurance agent. She put our interests ahead of her own. Rather than simply selling us a new policy, she closely reviewed our existing term policies that she hadn't worked on and found us a valuable conversion feature, allowing us to go whole life at a great rate. And so that's what we want to do. We want to do policy reviews. We want you to be a testimonial for us. And we just really want you to live comfortably, not have to worry about if something was to happen to me, what would happen to my family. Because in most of our families, when the breadwinner passes away, the family wealth passes away with them and can no longer afford the house anymore. We're going to have to sell the house. On the investing side, unfortunately, we buy a lot of those probated homes. We want you to be intact in case something was to happen. Like Lynette said, we can't cover all of this in these 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But hopefully this has been time well spent. We want you to go to the link. I put the link in the comment section and schedule an appointment with us. It's been a lot of information coming at you all at one time, but we'll sit down with you guys and slow everything down, allow you to ask a lot of questions. If you have a policy, we'll take a look at that policy. If you don't have a policy, we'll do some illustrations for you to see exactly what should be and what you can afford. Because everything we have, we'll make sure that you can afford it. We're not going to give you anything that you can't afford. It doesn't do us any good. Let me make you a special offer. I want to make sure that you take action and take action now. Some of the benefits of purchasing a policy with our company is, one is we do free wills, free power of attorney, and healthcare directives. I've recently had to do that with my father, who's 82 years old now, and didn't have those things. And so we provide those things absolutely free. All of our policies come with living benefits. One of our carriers, Foresters, they have orphan scholarships and benefits that you can take advantage of. And then being a part of us, again, my background also comes from real estate investing. We've got some tools with real estate investing. And so you buy a policy, we put you into our inner circle on the investing side, because we want you to build wealth through your policies and then take that money out, like I'm trying to do with my daughter, and invest in real estate. But you have to educate yourself on real estate. And so we have an inner circle where we'll give you lots of tools. We have a free Tuesday night investor Q&A that we help you with. You can come on and ask as many questions as you want. And so this is our value proposition. More importantly, we want you to protect yourselves and protect your family. And if you have any questions, you guys, feel free to reach out to us. Lynette, any closing remarks? Any closing remarks for you?
My closing remarks would just be, information costs you nothing. Schedule an appointment, get the information. So at least if you decide to do nothing, you know the value of that as well as the value of actually taking action.
And I think that's the most important thing. You know, life insurance and death is something that we don't often think about. We live for today or for tomorrow, but we've got to live for the future, and we've got to make sure that we're financially sound. As I said, and I'll repeat, in the Jewish community, when one passes away, 2 millionaires are created because they know the importance of life insurance, and
Hmm.
they know the power of it. Uh, and so here's a question: can you get health insurance? So we sell health insurance as well, and so contact us. We have supplemental, we've got Medicare, and we have a few others. So yeah, definitely contact us. If you guys have any other questions, you can go to the comment section. I'm gonna have to let Lynette go, but we're at the end anyway. You survived us, Lynette. You
I survived.
survived. I can't thank you enough. We'll have to do this again. I'll give you a call this week.
Okay.
But thank you for your contribution, and hopefully we get some appointments and we're able to help some families build wealth.
I hope so. It was great being on and chatting with you. I will talk to you later this week.
Okay. Thank you,
All
Lynette.
right.
And you guys,
Bye,
again,
all.
thank you, Lynette. If you guys are interested in just sitting down with us to see what the benefits are, and we talked about the living benefits, the type of policies we can sell to you, go to the link, schedule an appointment, and we'd love to sit down and talk to you. All right, you guys. I see George on here from Big Life, a few others. Thank you guys for being here. Take care. God bless. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.